All right, welcome everybody to the comic panel. I'm Cody,
I'm Tailon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shawenta.
and today we are going to be covering the Ultimates, Superhuman, Superhuman, Volume 1. Um, it's written by Mark Millar, penciled by Brian Hitch, inks by Andrew Curry, colors by Paul Mounts, letters by Chris Eliopoulos. Yeah, that's the creative team. So without further ado, Taylon, you picked this book for us to read this week. Why don't you tell us a little bit about why you picked it and what it's about?
Yeah. So last Saturday I watched Ultimate Avengers, and that was like a childhood movie. So I was like, that whole week I was like, oh man, I want to watch it, but it's literally not on any streaming service.
Yeah, that's the animated movie, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, eventually found it. I was like, all right, cool. I'm watching it, and I'm like, huh. I remember reading the comic. Let me read it again. So like I read a couple pages and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it for the book or for the show. So,
Do you remember you liked it when you first read it? Am I correct in remembering that?
I definitely liked it less than I do now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's gotten better with age, you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
You've matured into an adult who enjoys the Ultimates.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay.
Someone is... Jake, you're so delicately approaching.
All right.
I just don't want this to become another like shouting match like Alex and Ada was.
Hey.
Well, that comes later.
All right. Talon, will you give us a summary too of what the Ultimates is?
So the summary of the Ultimates, basically, it's a superhero team made up for the government to basically to protect the Earth from threats that normal armed forces cannot protect. And this story follows Nick Fury as he's trying to collect this team together. And this happens relatively recently after Marvel's Ultimate Team Ups number 3, which features the Hulk going berserk in New York. So Nick Fury enlists the help of Dr. Banner, Robert Bruce Banner, and he gets him started on the Super Soldier program, acronymed SSP, and then Nick Fury goes with Bruce Banner to, I guess it doesn't. No, never mind. So they enlist the help of Iron Man, and so Iron Man is on the team, and then they go. Nick reaches out to Hank Pym and Janet Pym. Yeah. Not
Okay, so they are married.
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I think I'm going to interject real quick, too, that it's important to mention that this takes place in the Ultimate Universe of Marvel Comics, so that's why there's characters like Iron Man and Nick Fury, etc., is because these are different versions of those characters. Yeah. And essentially, the Ultimates are the Avengers in this universe.
Yeah. And so they enlist the help of Hank Pym, Janet Pym, and Black Widow is also involved, right? Yep.
Not in this
Not yet.
volume.
Not yet? Oh. Okay then.
There's
I was like, what? I don't remember.
Never mind.
I know she shows up
there's
later.
two
from
women.
Wikipedia reading, but
There's
Let me just stick to the character sheet that I have here.
there's Kim, and then there's Betty.
Betty, yeah.
Yeah, Betty. Yep. Okay, and then they enlist the help of Thor. Well, only at the
Eventually.
end. Eventually, yeah.
Yeah,
And
they
so-
try to
And
get
it's kinda
Thor,
like-
and he's in his anarchist phase. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Basically, yep.
One
Well,
of the
he-
things.
You know, he's basically taken on the Jesus role as sent down by Father to save the world. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally says, "I'm a God-made man."
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, and basically, I'd say that this is essentially this first volume just is getting the team together, and then them stopping the Hulk is the
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's weird because the first 3 or 4 issues is like dedicated to set up the team, and then it's not till the very end of like issue 5. No, because 3 is where the team's all together. 4, nothing happens until the very end when Bruce Banner calls Betty to tell her, "Hey, I put more Hulk juice in my body. Watch out."
Not just Hulk juice, but like Hulk juice plus super soldier serum. Oh,
But does it make him any different than the normal Hulk juice?
yeah. It
that
doesn't
will be revealed later.
Is it just like drinking Captain America blood? Like,
I also forgot to mention this. Captain America is then found in the ice, and they thaw him out.
yeah. I mean, the whole thing is like, you keep seeing them being like, "Yeah, we're gonna create this great superhero team," and then Bruce Banner, meanwhile, is like, they want me to help out by finding this super soldier serum again. He's like, "I'm really bad at this though. Hasn't worked out. Still not working out." Then they find Captain America, and they're like, "Well, we're disappointed in Bruce, but at least we have Captain America."
You know, yeah,
Bruce
it doesn't.
is like, "I'm gonna help this team and everybody disappointed in me by becoming the Hulk again and killing people."
Hey, now his logic was very sound. Okay, I'm gonna defend.
No, don't. You can't don't even finish that. I'm gonna stick a fork in that argument. It's done. It's over.
His logic was that if we give the team something to fight, then if they win, they will emerge victorious, and then people will support the team. Because right now,
And he's like, "I'm such a loser. I'm gonna
Yeah.
obviously lose."
right?
I can't.
But then, okay. But if this weren't a comic book, the Ultimates would no longer exist after that happens.
Only if they knew that he was involved with the Ultimates.
Which everybody should.
How do people
well,
not know
I don't
that
think
the
so.
Hulk is Bruce Banner too?
That I don't know. I don't
They're
know how
like,
people don't know.
"Well, it's the Hulk again. Crazy guy." And they're like, "Anyway."
I mean,
there's
his
Bruce
his
guy helping
identity
us.
his identity stays a secret for quite a long time in the mainstream
but-
comics. Also,
Okay, to be fair, I don't want to make Betty like a
No.
what do you say, accomplice.
No,
But she knows
was.
that Bruce is the Hulk, and then the Hulk murdered people, and then she didn't turn him in. I don't care how much like imposter syndrome, whatever. Like obviously Bruce is not well, but also he's like in this book he is said to murder dozens.
Not even
That's
dozens.
within like 5 minutes.
yeah,
Like,
In the first 5 minutes, dozens dead.
Yeah.
Like the movies get away with it because they like nobody is like visibly killed, and they say, "Oh, everybody got away, it's fine." And then like even the mainstream comics are, "Hey, some people died, but Bruce feels really bad, and he, he's got control now, so he almost never kills people." And that's okay, sure, but in this, there's no remorse. Everybody's just like, "Man, we should all feel bad for Bruce."
yeah.
Well, he's
Like,
one
no,
of them.
you shouldn't.
He's one of their
Not
own.
at all.
He went rogue.
isn't though. He's not.
Well, what do you mean? He's one of the
But he
Ultimates.
did. So he should get turned in, and then the Ultimates shouldn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, see,
Okay.
that's the thing though, Jake, about like them being essentially what I think. Okay, this is like kind of getting into it a little bit, but I'm with Mark Millar's writing here. I'm really unsure how much he is like promoting and how much he is criticizing certain things in like American culture and American government, because like what it reminds me of is things being quote unquote too big to fail, And then B, more specifically, the Afghanistan has nuclear weapons.
Oh yeah, we gotta get them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like.
I feel like you're giving it too much credit.
I mean, I'm not trying to.
I will say I feel like the criticism is also later.
Like, what do you mean by that? Like later
critique. Like, I think in later volumes, like more of that critique on American things.
Gotcha. So this is like more of a setup, in your opinion.
Yeah.
Should we talk about what we like first?
Yeah.
I mean,
also, could we mention the fact that they stop the Hulk? Like, everybody gets like beat up until the very end. It's like Captain America.
So it's like that meme with Joss Whedon's Justice League, where it's like the Justice League at 99% power, or Justice League at 100% power with Superman and all those characters, and then Justice League at 99% power with just Superman. Like, that's Captain America.
God, even wears blue.
Yeah, and he's just able to, because doesn't the Hulk like at first destroy the Hulk antidote that they have? He
breaks the needle.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So like, how are we gonna do this now?
I will say, okay, so actually no, I'll save that for later.
All right. To be fair, I did like some things about this book.
Hey.
Wait. Did we mention the last part that happens? The very crucial thing that happens?
Oh, we'll get there.
I mean, we want to summarize, right?
Oh yeah, we haven't really. Well,
all right.
Yeah. Okay,
it's not
fine.
like no spoilers. We're talking about the entire book here.
Okay, so yeah. So throughout this book, Janet and Hank, they're all like, in a good relationship. It looks like, it's
they
all
really
fine.
love bullying.
Yeah,
Bruce.
Yeah, except
well, yeah, but everybody likes doing that.
But in Hank's defense, he was making like a sincere comparison. Like there was no.
You look like a creepy little bug-eyed dude.
Yeah, there's no like harm meant.
He definitely
Okay.
Hank comes off as like Johnny Storm in that. It's like, why does Ben hate that I'm bullying him all the time just because he's ugly and made of a bunch of rocks?
Okay, but other than them two, who's taking part in it? Like,
yeah, it's
Captain
Nick
America's
Fury
just sitting there like, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
Nick Fury is kind of like, I don't know, he calls out some name I don't recognize and then like calls him Stuart Little, which is it kind of sucks, but isn't the worst
Makes
thing in the
no
world.
sense to me why he
Stuart
would make
Little's
that comparison.
just a small talking mouse.
And then Tony Stark called him disappointing on TV.
Yeah.
Okay, but Tony is the only person who talked to him when they went to that party.
True.
And then Jarvis was like, hey,
but
you're not the only guy who feels sad. Buck up, buddy.
But what does Tony Stark talk to him about?
His ex.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is
that was the weirdest.
Another baffling choice. I need a head of like promo and public relations for my new superhero team. Who am I gonna choose? General's ex-daughter, or ex-daughter.
General's daughter.
General's daughter. The ex of one of my current scientists, who I know is emotionally unstable.
Well, no. See, the key
is
the
comment he made to him. Do you remember that comment?
Yeah, it's weird. Did you ever think about it?
About
her dad's face on her body?
No,
it's like,
just
what?
like, what if she was wearing her dad's clothing and his mustache?
That's gross.
Man, Tony Stark, what a weirdo.
It's like, Tony, are you...
Hey, I thought I was rich enough to be eccentric.
Nah, he's just a weirdo.
Okay, but back to the point that
even
we're trying to make.
Even if it isn't your ex, if that's someone you're currently with,
that's still weird. Yeah.
If it's your ex, it's also weird.
Okay.
Although this book makes it very clear they're not exes. they're on a break.
Yes.
Which is a very
a
early
trial
2000s,
I
separation.
was gonna say
very early 2000s way of breaking up without breaking up.
Jake, you were saying like I can't remember what you said about Betty, but we have to remember her like important character flaw is she is a PR agent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because man,
They've made Betty.
End of the issue where she's like, I feel kind of guilty, but I also kind of like it. 'Cause look what he did to himself.
I mean,
for me.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Doesn't it says a lot about somebody if they're willing to do this for me.
It's
Murder?
Like, oh my. Murder and to get kicked by Captain America? Man, what a hero.
At some point, this might be in like volume 2, but she makes the comment of like, maybe Nick Fury will let us have conjugal visits. And I'm just like, what?
Everybody just treats Bruce so weird. Like, even the first part where, like, Nick Fury's having dinner with him to discuss, like, setting up this project. He's like, sorry about the view. That's the place you destroyed, remember? Bruce is like, thanks.
Honestly,
I got it under control.
I interpreted that as, like, Nick Fury being like, okay, I strategically placed us here so that you could see that. All right?
Okay, but what if it goes bad?
Well, then I know I don't want him on my team.
Yeah, but then he's dead.
Tactical risk or something.
Him? Anyway,
the point that we were trying to make
at the end of this book
right?
is
he goes, look, there's the last place you had a meltdown.
Yeah.
And to be fair, at that point, Bruce Banner's like holding it together pretty well.
Yes.
He's like, I'm meeting with therapists. People are checking my blood. Like everybody double checks that I'm not going to become the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that just ends.
Depressed and under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that just sort of ends as soon as he's back to number 2 at the Super Soldier Research Program.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
which is kind of dumb.
I think that plays into like a character flaw that he has, or this insecurity of like being small, being stepped on. So,
aren't you using the line?
You think
from
Ant-Man
Hank?
would have that fear?
Yes, but also Bruce says, I miss being big. I believe that was his line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I just miss being big, he says to Betty. And then she just sits there. She's like, ooh, this is a dangerous situation. Hey. But she sits there and she's like, and then he found us. Like,
yeah.
What?
But when you're reading with Freddie Prinze Jr., former Fred of Scooby-Doo fame,
there you go.
And former wrestling writer, which I learned recently.
Nice. I did not know that.
So that's a real person?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of real people in this
just a real
book
person?
for some reason.
Yeah, I'll say that. I'll save that for later. Okay, but really, seriously, what we were trying to be talking about at the end of this book is, everything's all fine and dandy. Then Giant Man gets knocked on his butt by the Hulk, and then his ego is bruised. And so Jan tries to get him to go to a dinner. And he's like, you know what? I don't know why you're trying to impress these guys, okay? And then it just turns into an argument, and then they physically fight.
Yeah, it turns into an argument that turns into domestic abuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he murders her? Question mark?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe? Tailon, does she end up murdered?
No.
Okay. That's like a scene where I was just like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Just before that, though, we do learn some... this is, like, skipping ahead a little bit. But I think a major flaw of the Ultimate Universe is, like, making stuff gross for no reason.
That's fair.
Like, we learned that Janet doesn't use just, like, a size-changing formula. She's a mutant.
Mm.
That's why she can fly and shrink and sting with the energy blast, whatever.
Yeah.
But then this also includes that she...
lays eggs.
Eats bugs, lays eggs every 6 weeks for some reason. Like, why? Why put that in there? Okay, she's a mutant so she can do stuff. Sure. You don't need to add, like, she lived with a bunch of bugs while eating other bugs while people were hunting down mutants, apparently.
Hey man, like, what else are you going to show to prove that Hank Pym is a dirtbag? Okay?
that he used her blood in his Giant Man formula, making him a worse scientist. Use that.
And not talking about it, and like being willing to hide her mutantness, you know.
Until he
Wait,
wants
that
to
makes
use
him
it
a
against
dirtbag
her.
though? That makes him. I thought that sounds like him being caring. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it is actively
he's not doing
actively
it for
hiding
her,
it
though,
from
really.
Nick Fury, who doesn't want mutants on the team.
Well,
So
again,
lying to your boss.
that's him being caring. Like, this is my wife. I want her a part of this, so I'm not
Until
going to...
she says something he doesn't like. And
Well,
then it's,
yeah, what I'm saying, though, is that what he said
I'll
to
protect
me
your
is...
secret until I need it.
Because it also benefits him. Because then it'll come out, it's like, oh yeah, you used your wife's mutant blood to give yourself powers. Wouldn't that make you a mutant?
No. I am mutant infused.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're
I
just
have
a
only
mutant lover.
combined.
Ah,
That's
yes,
almost as bad.
Yes. That's it.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a dirtbag that guy.
So he doesn't murder
Man.
her. Okay.
No.
I thought it was a lot more.
But
Because, yeah,
so
beats her up, then she shrinks to try to fight him, and then uses bug spray on her.
yeah,
So proud
She
of
tries to
himself.
run away by hiding on the desk, and then he uses his Ant-Man helmet to send ants after her, and they crawl over her. She screams out in pain, and then the very end of the book is I gotta look at the exact panel because it's classic dirtbag. I just beat my wife, but I'm real sorry energy.
yeah. I just made a mistake or something like that.
He was so proud of himself for using that bug spray on her.
Yeah.
Didn't
It
he-
says, "Oh
he
my
said he,
God,
like,
Jan,
doesn't
what
it
have
feel
I
like
done?"
Napalm or something. It's like horrible.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, this was Marvel's attempt at, like, modernizing their characters. And so, like any modernization, they just make their characters, like, terrible people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have something to say about that, but I think that I don't really know where it fits exactly, but probably closer to the dislike area.
Okay. We're still on the stuff that we like, and I haven't
Well,
gotten to mine.
I don't think anybody said anything.
We're on
that
the
like
summary.
Oh, I thought you did. Oh, we're still in the summary. That's true. Okay, now we can get into the thing we like.
All right. Oh, man, the structure of our own show, huh, guys? Man, we keep forgetting.
All right, go ahead, Jake.
All right, stuff I liked. The World War II opening. I actually did kind of like that. That was pretty cool. What else? I know there's... Oh, Nick Fury. This is the first time we see him as just Samuel L. Jackson with an eye patch. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And all the stuff with Cap defrosting and learning about what happens with his family. That's pretty good.
That is, summary for me too.
Except for when they talk about all the stuff that I loved is dead, Cap says. And then some guy says, not everything, Captain America.
Well,
And then
it was Nick.
Panel. Big American flag flying in the wind. It's like, all right, come on, guys. Like, I get it. Captain America, guess what?
He loves his country.
America.
Yes.
It's like, come on.
Patriotic.
You can be a little, be 10% more subtle, and I like it.
Isn't that also just kind of like unsympathetic, right? Like you're like, man, my family's
No.
dead, and you're like, well, at least you got America, and you like point to the American flag, and you're like, thanks.
I don't think it's unsympathetic because it's not like Cap was like, I'm just looking for any family so I can connect with them. Because he does have family he can connect with. He's just like, but they don't know me. So I have nothing to live for now. And so it's like, wait, no, you joined the army. You joined the military because you love this country. And so this country is still here. You can still
Captain
fight
America, we still have the military-industrial complex for you.
Hey, and Captain America would enjoy that.
You're right.
I think we've talked about this before, but do you think Captain America gets back pay since he's been alive and been enlisted this whole time?
What? Wait, you mean for the 57 years?
Yeah,
And he's not
still alive.
adjusted for inflation.
He's dead. Sure, they stopped paying him, but then he comes back alive.
I don't think
Give
you
like
should get back pay.
$200 per
You
year,
weren't even in
right?
service. You weren't in active duty.
He stopped the Nazi atomic bomb.
Yeah, I think that the Department of I don't know, justice
Whatever.
or something. Yeah, they probably are like, please don't ask, please don't ask. And Steve Rogers is just like, doesn't know the difference, doesn't think about it.
Well, no, they offer
he
him
just re-enlists,
straight up.
gets that pay, then it's fine.
Yeah, they offer him straight up like $200 for every 6 months that he was gone, and then they make him sign something. Welcome back.
Well, Jake, was that it for you, or was someone else saying something?
I think that was it.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like it could be discussed a little bit more. I think it's really interesting, the parts with Captain America coming back. And they also just sort of like leave it off. Like his apartment gets broken into. I guess that like Nick Fury just sort of like summarizes it later like, man, kids broke in, probably. Well, no, I think it was Bruce, actually. Yeah.
Captain America thought that. Like, he was like, oh, I think it's just some kids who broke in.
Wait, but then they go to beat those kids up, so I hope it was.
I was waiting for that scene to start. He's like, going over there to kick them.
I see.
Yeah, it's like, we're never shown otherwise, so yeah, it was those kids.
Decorated war hero brought back from the dead. Shown beating up children.
Hey, you know what? Back in my day,
they got
kids...
paint thinner
you
on his
couldn't
record.
beat kids in the public and nobody would care.
Exactly.
Quote from Captain America.
Yeah, I see. That's the thing. There's like Captain America, I kind of like in this, and Thor, I kind of like in this. But like also, I at least know about Captain America, and like later on, he gets to show off some of his like not as good qualities, and so like even though like we're not reviewing the later volumes of the Ultimates, but like just with that knowledge existing, I'm like, Captain America, and then so now I'm like also wondering about Thor, who I would say I liked more than Captain America in this. And I'm like, I have to wonder if Thor is also worse than he appears.
I can tell you.
Is he worse than he appears?
No.
Okay. Thor is the best Ultimate then so far.
There's just something about the way Thor is written. There's like nowadays, like the stuff he's talking about is like pretty moderate stuff that everybody knows. But like in 2002, when this was written, this was obviously supposed to be like satire of those crazy leftists.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it. They make it feel like he's very extremist.
And it's like, that's the only reason I don't like Thor that much, is because like the way he's written, it's like nowadays it's like it's pretty okay, but like back in 2000, like distant land of 2002, it comes off differently.
Those darn hippies.
Yeah.
But
he's go ahead, Shwanta.
I was gonna say, he's like, I'm not gonna join the team, because then everybody would see me like condoning whatever you end up doing. He's like, but I'll help out whenever you want, though. It's just like, and then he makes that allegory where he's like, oh, if you stopped at the side of the road to help some dude, some lawyer, doesn't mean that you're part of Procter and Gamble now or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I like. I thought that was cute, but then also, if you think about it, if you have like, if that lawyer has your personal cell phone and calls you anytime his car breaks down, I do think.
No.
BFFs.
There's a difference here, okay? Procter and Gamble, you're not on their payroll. You are talking to this very one specific employee.
Okay, but let me put it to you this way: if the lawyer, sure, I'd help them, but if I saw Elon Musk with a flat tire on the side of the road, I wouldn't stop to help him.
Really? Not even if you could get a free Tesla.
We're gonna lose sponsorships from this.
If you could get a free Tesla from Elon Musk.
That is definitely not what Thor is looking for, though. He is not getting a free Thor Iron Man suit.
He's not even getting paid. So technically you're working for free for Elon Musk.
That's true, yes.
I will be your
here's a question I had throughout the book. Do people know that Tony Stark is Iron Man in this?
I believe so.
I couldn't tell for sure.
Well, at the very least, Nick Fury does, and people in the Ultimates.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure they do.
Everybody
They
does.
they interview him. They literally interview him.
Oh, that's
right?
true. Yes.
They're like,
On
you
Larry
have
King.
this cool new superhero group.
Okay, I just couldn't tell because like everybody keeps tossing around like Tony Stark is getting merchandising rights and like is getting a bunch of money from the Ultimates, and like it seems like the exchange in universe was whoever is wearing the Iron Man suit joins the Ultimates, and then also there's like a throwaway line when Nick Fury first meets Iron Man where it's like, what made you change your mind about sharing the Iron Man suit with the military-industrial complex? Which seems to imply that they're making more Iron Man suits.
Well, I took that as
right?
him being sarcastic.
Well, I thought no. I thought the way that I took that line was he was going to share the Iron Man technology, and then he stopped. He cut them off.
That's how I interpreted.
Because it's paralleling his mainstream comics origin of like being a weapons manufacturer and then not selling weapons anymore.
This is a weapons manufacturer that doesn't make weapons. Sell. Abandoned ship. Does the Hindenburg ring any bells?
Yeah, get rid of it. But yeah,
oh man.
Do you like that Tony Stark thing that he says towards the beginning where he's like, maybe billionaires should learn to help out? Sitting in his penthouse having his coat like taken off.
Was that the beginning or the end?
No, that was the beginning. Because he's talking to Nick Fury at the time.
That's the scene that we were talking about where he's like part of the military industrial.
Oh, okay, yeah. You're right. Okay.
Oh man, I've got a question about the art in that scene. Oh, art and some of the dialogue.
Well, we'll get there, right?
Well, don't like the suit. I used to just not like the looks. Now I don't like it because it leaves Tony Stark draped in this weird green goo when he gets out of it, which is just super weird. All right, gets out of the suit, starts talking to Tony Stark, talking to Jarvis. He says he wants a vodka orange, which is the weird British name of a screwdriver. Don't know why he calls it that. But then he's handed what is clearly a vodka martini, because it's got an olive in it. And then in the next panel, he's shown walking down the hallway with a glass of a red liquid in a different glass. So, is Tony Stark that much of an alcoholic that he is actively mixing drinks in between rooms? Or did the artist not care enough to check?
Honestly, I think it's the latter.
I think it might be both.
Just the author says, make sure Tony Stark has a drink in his hand. At all times, he's not in the suit. And then they just put a glass in his hand.
Yeah, and I also think that maybe they didn't know what vodka orange is, even though it's literally the two ingredients in the name.
It's in the, yes.
I was gonna say, I looked at it as it was happening. I was like, "Where's the orange?"
Yeah,
I definitely didn't pay that much attention. Did you guys read the introduction?
My version didn't have an introduction.
Neither did mine.
Never mind. So I was reading the Ultimate Collection, which had 1 and 2. So anyway, so.
Did they talk about the drink choice?
Yeah, well, they talk about his drinking, not specifically this, but they said, and so we're modernizing it, except for Tony Stark being a drunk. Some things you just don't mess with.
I mean, you can be a drunk at any period.
Also, okay. Here's the thing too about Demon in a Bottle. The classic story where Tony Stark develops an alcohol problem. Is that it's not that old, or I mean not that old. It's not that long. Basically, it does kind of weave through maybe I don't know, somewhere between 5 to 10 issues, but very, very subtly at first, and then it's maybe 4 issues where it's a problem, and the 4th issue is him getting over his alcoholism.
Gotcha. Hey, what can I say? Joss Whedon's weird. I'm kidding.
I'm wait.
Joss Whedon wrote the introduction.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah, Joss Whedon is weird. Gotcha. I was like, what does this have to do with Joss Whedon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was he? Wait, why Joss Whedon? Was he like involved in making Volume 2, or just
I don't know.
like some
um,
of his movies took inspiration from the Ultimate Universe?
he definitely wrote some Ultimate comics. I don't know which ones, but he was involved in the Ultimate Universe.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so that's just like annoying that they're all like, oh yeah, obviously Tony Stark is always an alcoholic. I'm like, it was one very popular story that did not last very long.
Gotcha.
I mean, to be fair, Tony Stark is probably like a lifetime abuser of substances, and so most people will continue to do that until they like fall apart.
Mhm.
So the level of drinking makes sense for somebody of Tony's age
Mm.
and wealth
Well,
and
also,
success specifically.
doesn't he have his whole like tumor thing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tony Stark's got a tumor. Boo-hoo. Feel sad.
He has his like
Wow.
he has his dinner where like what is it? The Thor and Steve Rogers shows up for it.
Hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, because
And then
him and Janet are
Hi.
Busy.
they're
Yeah.
busy.
Domestic abusing.
They are predisposed. No, indisposed.
Also, the Hulk is kind of busy
Well, he's in prison.
being
Well, sort of.
detained.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's being detained.
Who else is missing?
I think that's it.
that's
Other
it.
than Betty, I guess. Vaguely.
Oh, Betty might be with
Nick
Bruce.
Fury's not there, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. He just like drops that thing. I can't remember what it leads up to. It. You guys, by the way, have a tumor.
Yeah.
Well, no, Thor specifically was asking. He's like, "Come on, like, there has to be a reason that you're doing all of this,
Mhm.
Like,
Like, is it a tax scam?
Yeah.
What are you getting at this?
yeah, that's another thing I liked. I was like, Thor asking the real questions here.
Is this all a charitable donation write-off that you're
I guess,
getting?
like all the other characters, just assumed it was a tax write-off.
Yeah.
Thor's
Yeah,
the
because
only
they
one
also
willing
talk
to
about
ask.
how they all talk about how Tony Stark is still making money doing this.
Mm.
Like, they're talking about the merchandising, and they talk about the battle of with the Hulk
They
that
sold
killed
15
dozens of
million.
people, sold millions of copies of DVDs of the battle.
Mhm.
It's like, he's still making money. Like, as good-natured as it is, like, still a billionaire, still making a bunch of money.
Which is why it's so weird at the beginning as that thing. I wondered what things could be like if all the billionaires and government spooks tried to save the world instead of bleeding it dry. And then he proceeds to be like chauvinist, drinker, alcoholic, weirdo for the rest of the issues.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
hey,
guess
if you're
Go ahead.
if you're Iron Man, that kind of outweighs everything else.
I mean, yeah,
What
it's
are you
kind of like
saying? That
it's kind of like
outweighs-
Batman when he's Bruce Wayne still has to act like a billionaire playboy.
But
Like, if he stopped acting like that, people would be like, "Hey, what's going on?"
But Batman
If Tony
isn't
Stark
working
didn't
for
get
the
rights-
government, commercializing his like debut.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Also, monetizing people's death, that's a little iffy.
Hmm. Yeah, and to Tailon's point, you cannot morally balance like saving people and then like profiting off of them.
Yeah.
I saved you, so you better buy that DVD.
Hey,
Of me
hey,
saving
no. I put it up for sale. It's not my fault. People bought it.
No, it's because somebody
Not a
had to
valid
produce the
argument.
film, all right? And they're also on S.H.I.E.L.D. payroll.
Yeah.
Tailon, if you applied that to like anything else, you're like, I pirated this movie. It's not my fault people bought it off me. Now, judge, you must acquit.
Cody, what did you like about this book?
All right. I already said
Or is there anything else?
I liked Thor. I liked I guess like it was definitely okay. So yeah, as many of the Ultimate comics are, it was very readable. Like it was a fast and easy to read. Even if, like, you know, I didn't like it, it was like, you know, it was fairly consistent and didn't like drag at all.
Yeah.
And I also, there was one other thing that I am not remembering. Basically, oh yeah, that's right. I think that there's like kind of parts of the panel layout. I guess maybe that relates a little bit more to the art. Not saying that the art is something that I like, but they did some things that were effective. That's what I'll say.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Tailon, what about you?
And so I liked most of it. There are some parts that obviously I didn't like, but I can get to that later. Yeah, I don't know, just the story, the overall story is really good. And I really like that the beginning opening scene of like World War II and how all that went down. Especially with Captain America being like, "All right, guys, let's go, ladies."
It's like, okay, super soldier who had 6 months of steroids and surgery. Okay, the rest of us are regular people who will die if we get shot.
Yeah. Also,
fall out of a plane without a parachute.
That was a weird part at first, where he's all like 6 months of surgery and steroids. It was like, wait, does that mean that he, like, I was like, wait, no super soldier serum in this one? And then I was like, no, it's super soldier serum plus steroids? Like, or
unless the whole process is a super soldier serum. But also, like,
I almost felt like
a little
he's
nitpick.
joking, right?
Yeah, that was the other thing.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know about Ultimate Captain America, but I am going to say, if you are that close to rocket engines, as Captain America was when he jumped onto the rocket, it does not matter how many steroids or surgeries you've had, you will die.
Yeah.
Oh, and another part that I liked. So like, right after the ship or spaceship explodes, whatever, rocket.
Spaceship, it's a rocket. Missile.
Yeah. Right after the rocket explodes.
Bomb.
Oh, hydrogen bomb, whatever. He falls into the water, and he's writing to Gale, right? Not.
It is a letter he has already written. He's not writing as he's falling.
Just Wile E. Coyote writing his will.
He's the narrator, I guess, is reciting the letter to Gale, his fiance. Sorry.
It's like the, you know, in the war movie when like the young kid dies and like they go to his footlocker and there's like the letter that they want to send to their family.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
I don't think I read that letter.
Oh, if it's cursive, you skipped it?
Yeah. I just thought, I was like, well, they didn't make it easy to read, so it's probably not important. So I didn't read
it.
Just to see there's flavor.
Anyway.
I've been there, but not this time.
Anyway, he's talking about like, oh man, I'm sorry that we're separated now, right? Or, you know, because, you know, ostensibly he's writing the letter because he's dead, right? Like, if the letter is written, if you are reading this, I've died, and I'm sorry that happened, right? And in the letter, it says that we must, trust God, and even in the most terrible of circumstances, or he says the most terrible of circumstances happen for the best of reasons. And so I was like, I like that. All right, like, yeah, that Christian and Christian. All right, cool. I see you. So yeah, I was just like,
I mean, he says heaven or hell, right? Like, it's not going to separate us or something.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a little bit.
So he doesn't even care about heaven.
That's a little, you know.
I did read it.
Creative liberty.
I mean, to be fair, he does freeze, so like he's in like weird ice purgatory, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't know that at the time he was writing it.
I still.
That's true. Yeah, it would have been weird if he'd written, like, I'm sorry, I'm in a weird ice purgatory for 70 years.
I'm going to heaven later.
But yeah, I did like that Bucky was there, and Bucky was like talking to all these like gruff soldiers, like who are all writing off Captain America as like this weird propaganda, kind of like the beginning of Captain America, where he's like doing all the all the rallies to like sell war bonds. So that was a nice little connection. Although I do wonder now if there's just like, I don't know, this was before the Winter Soldier even got introduced, so they weren't even thinking about putting the Winter Soldier in.
I was wondering. I was also like, who's Gale?
That's his. Well, yeah, Peggy insert.
Exchange one woman
Peggy
for the other.
replacement.
Yes. Gail Richards. Wait a minute. Gail Richards. Don't tell me she's related to Reed.
No.
No.
Just a common last
Oh
name.
man, that would
Richards is a fairly common last name.
be. I just had. That
Although
would be
it is
funny.
comics, everybody's related.
Actually, you know what? There is a fourth thing I liked. The rundown that Nick Fury does of why we can't have X person on this super team. I did kind of like that because it was an acknowledgement of like the greater comics world.
Yeah.
Although it's just like, oh man, those mutants. Didn't you hear about that thing that happened?
Yeah, that is one thing
That's-
that like
That's like everybody's excuse every time to not have a mutant on the team is, well, we would, but then Angel dropped the mayor from the highest tower. Is like, so we can't have any mutants on the team. Or Cyclops blew up Wakanda. Actually, no, that was Namor. But same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, Jake, but at least in the Ultimate Universe, like the biggest thing in the world, like that happened was Magneto's like polar inversion.
But that hasn't happened yet.
That hasn't happened?
No, that has.
No, not yet.
No, because they said
Well,
the attack of Magneto on New York.
wasn't that the whole world though?
Well,
I don't know.
well,
I might be
yeah.
getting timeline confused. But the way it was written out on the wiki I read, so maybe that's wrong, was that Ultimatum happened after this. But could be wrong.
Like,
Here,
'Cause
actually, I can.
it does say that the biggest villain that the only villain attack that they've had was Magneto.
Mm-hmm. And the Ultimates were a reaction to that.
Okay.
But
do like
it
the
could
whole
be a
thing.
separate attack.
Well, they're like, only one thing has happened so far. It was really bad, but like, do we need to prepare for another one?
And then Tony's like, that's like not getting medical insurance because you can't imagine yourself getting sick.
Okay, but to be fair, health insurance doesn't cost $50 billion.
Yeah.
We need you to stop paying for your house because you need to get medical insurance.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, that's something I like actually sat down and like checked some numbers on. It was like $50 billion was roughly, oh, I wrote this down somewhere. I gotta find it now. It's equal to almost 80 billion today. And the whole military budget was 328 million. And so round up a little bit. Almost a third of that is going to go to one team of 5 to 6 individuals
They even had
to
to.
prevent the threat of superhero crime.
Yeah.
All right, but how much was spent on like between like the TSA and the Patriot Act stuff and
I will say the chart definitely, all the numbers went up every year after 2002. But I did not write those numbers down.
yeah.
So we're at like 700 billion now for the military, right?
Yeah.
Something
That sounds right to me.
I don't even know. Yeah, so I will clarify my earlier statements of the World War II scene. Like, I really felt the disaster of that moment. Like, they were dropped in, and all we were told was attack the fortress, and we're just gonna get shot. Like, yeah, what are we supposed to be happy about? What are we supposed to be hopeful about? Like, I get it.
Yeah, but Captain America's there.
He'll
with
be
probably
fine.
the worst shield design.
Okay, I might give you that. I do like his suit though.
I've always gone in favor of the wartime Captain America suits. I've always liked those. His modern day suit in this is fine. It's the Avengers one I don't like.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Wait, which Avengers one? Like the movie Avengers?
Yes, the original Avengers.
Okay.
Like with the wings?
Yeah, the 2012 Avengers suit looks bad.
Gotcha. Okay, I see what you mean.
Gotcha.
Not to get too off topic, but
yeah,
to be fair, there are some designs in this that I don't like. Giant Man's look is bad, but they also comment on it, so I don't know how to feel about it for sure.
They call him a serial killer. I'm not sure about that.
I don't know. It could be like be a comment on like, man, some superhero costumes look bad, but because you comment on something but then you still do it, like it doesn't make it good all of a sudden.
I feel like that's my entire opinion about this book, where they're like, celebrity culture and superheroes. We're gonna do that. But it sucks. It's bad.
But we're still doing it. And then Iron Man's suit, I've already said, looks bad. And Hulk design, I mean, it's gray. And I get people like to, like, it's the classic trivia. It's like, did you know Hulk wasn't supposed to be green? He's originally supposed to be gray, but the colorist sucked.
Oh, no.
Actually, I don't think it was he sucked. I think the colors were just like kind of bad back then. You weren't really sure what you were gonna get. In the printing process.
I thought it was like he was supposed to be green, but then they had a mishap.
No, it was a printing problem after the fact, after the first issue, I think.
Okay.
But like green is so much more iconic. And it also like I like the weird like. This was an explanation I read like from 2005 or 6 from like the Ang Lee Hulk movie visual dictionary about why the Hulk's green. But it's because like his body shape changes so fast. The green color is basically his whole body being a big bruise.
I remember that. Yeah.
And then if he stays in long enough, then he becomes gray. And that's where like the Joe Fixit gray and like the Professor Hulk gray comes from. That makes more sense. I just don't like the Hulk being gray from his first transformation.
Gotcha.
But that's just more stuff I don't like. So, is there anything else you like, Tailon, before we get into stuff we didn't like? Because
I forgot we weren't on the part we don't like.
Jake is bursting at the seams.
No, like it.
Like the Hulk.
I'll just reiterate. Like I liked 90% of it, and I like it better the second time than the first. Because the first time I read this, I just felt like kind of sad. Like, and I think I told Cody this at the time that I read it. But after I read it, I was like, I just feel kind of like, with the whole aesthetic of the comic. Yeah. And then with Hulk, and Hulk talks during this, and I don't like it. Because nothing he says is okay.
No.
It's all bad.
Ooh, it's also like really weird implication that like, thank goodness Bruce is keeping this under check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like if it was just like the panel of Hulk wants Freddie Prinze Jr., which is like all the context I had seen about this comic before, because like people throw it out, I was like, man, comics are dumb. And you know what? I can get behind that. Like if this was a big man, comics are dumb comic book, I could get behind that. And if that was all the Hulk said, I might be okay with it. But that's not all that he says.
No. But because I was
threatens bodily harm in very vicious ways to each character.
Yeah.
But because
everybody except Wasp for
a specific reason.
For 2 specific reasons.
Yes.
That got Tail on the laugh. That's good enough.
But because I knew those things going in the second time around, I was able to enjoy it much more.
So you were numb to it.
I was prepared.
You don't care about all your characters getting shot in the back because you already know they're going to get shot in the back?
Yeah.
All right.
I know the bad part's coming up.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. I was able to look past it.
You had to get acclimated to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, also too, like when I read this, like I hadn't read comics that much, and so like this was one of the earlier comics that I read. So I was like, whoa. So
When did you start reading comics?
When we started the show,
which is
back in 2017.
Huh. That's a while, but not that long either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I had read more Spider-Man comics before then, but that was like the most.
Mm-hmm. You know. Gotcha. I'm not sure I knew that that much. Yeah. Like maybe vaguely, but not to that extent. Gotcha. Interesting. Learn something new every day.
There you go.
What do you mean people aren't born in the womb with comics?
Wait, as far as I know, you weren't either.
You don't know anything.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding of Shawenta's history is that, like, just like, you know, reading comics to the womb, the belly, you know, like, and it's like, this is what's happening in the pictures you can't see. Yeah.
Not gonna go on a tangent. We will continue.
That tells me it's true.
Blink once,
no comment. I think we're ready to get into the stuff we don't like, right?
Yeah, and I want to go first.
All right.
Mostly. All right. Okay.
Mostly because, like, yeah, like I said kind of earlier, I don't know exactly where this fits, but it ties into what I said earlier about like Miller's writing and not being like entirely sure like how much it's satire and how much he's trying to like take this seriously. But like he's basically like either mistakenly or purposefully taken like the idea. So like, you know, what is the thing that the Marvel Age of Comics is most like known for? Like, you know, the marketing line that gets repeated.
Should we know this?
All right. I'm sorry, I'm not in class. I don't answer questions.
All right, fine, fair enough. I was unsure if that was gonna come easily or not, but basically it gave, you know, superheroes personal problems, right?
Okay. Yes.
You know.
Now that you say it.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was gonna be a tagline, so I was trying to think of that, but that's not a tagline.
Yeah. And so, like, but basically, yeah, it seems like Mark Millar is like, he took the characters and like made them like, instead of giving them just problems, they are like distinctly flawed individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's removed their moral center, basically.
I think, I mean, my perspective on it is more, it's coming from a place of trying to make it more modern, as opposed to say like try to continue on the legacy of what the older Marvel comics were.
Well, see, that's the thing though, is that it's not necessary. Like, I mean, I would agree that a lot of the situations are more modern, but the characters themselves, like, I mean, yeah, they are also modern in their own ways in terms of like, you know, how their powers work, and like, you know, basically like Tony Stark doesn't have a piece of metal like, you know, inches away from his heart because that's ridiculous. He has a brain tumor, you know, stuff like that is like, I guess, a modernization, but it's the fact that they are, you know, so like between morally neutral and morally deficient, bankrupt, yeah. You know, that's not like, you know, that's basically, if that is his attempt to modernize, that's a really cynical take of modern society.
I mean, to be fair, you can't, it's hard to add more positive attributes to somebody who is already a superhero. So you can really only add negatives.
I see.
Or like recontextualize their positives, but you can't add more.
I mean, that's what I think I'm asking for, is recontextualize their positives. Because I'm like, why? They don't really need to be added. That's not the point of the Ultimate Universe's additions. It's it is to recontextualize and make it easier to jump into this universe.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know like what question I'm asking, but like,
but ask it.
This my perspective on it is influenced by Jupiter's Legacy. You know how they were like, now they're more real, you know. But what they did was they made those heroes terrible people.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, to me, what he's doing here is like modernizing it, making it more real.
Yeah,
Terrible
and
people.
that was written by Mark Millar also, right?
Oh my gosh, was it?
I believe so.
Yes, it was.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Did one
so I
come
see.
before the other?
Yes, this did.
So maybe prototype.
Yeah, it is a bit of a prototype for Jupiter's Legacy.
Wow, I can't believe I didn't recognize that.
Although, do I like this more than Jupiter's Legacy?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I remember more of this than Jupiter's Legacy.
All right.
I mean, to be fair, I did just read this, but
You think you'll remember it more later? Is that what you're saying?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is like, I don't know if you want to call it like the Gotham High Award, but this is a contender.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
They'll use the little blurb from you on the back. Stand out.
Oh yeah, that's. Ooh.
Okay. Anyway, though, as I was saying, well, I guess I can. Yeah, it is a lot like Jupiter's Legacy, and like, yeah, I just maybe that is some people's genuine interpretation, but I just don't think that people being like Jake said, morally bankrupt is more realistic. Like maybe I could see that like there's supposed to be either metaphors or literal situations of people in power, like, you know, Tony Stark being the literal, being a billionaire, and then just people having powers, having superpowers, you know, and they generally are more morally bankrupt in real life. So like maybe I could see it from that angle, but I just don't think that that's what superheroes are supposed to be. It's a direct deviation from what superheroes are, and it's kind of this like over fascination with Alan Moore's Watchmen, honestly.
I don't know, it is kind of like not to get a little too meta just for this book, but it is a like kind of an evolution of like how people used to be obsessed with celebrity. Like back in the early days, like with the first like talkies and stuff like that, people were obsessed, but you didn't know anything about them. And nowadays we know about our celebrities. We know basically everything about their lives, and most of them kind of suck.
Know enough to know that we shouldn't care.
Isn't that the whole thing, right? Like back then, perfect image, this and that. And then now it's almost like this obsession with them because they're horrible.
Well, also
like you get more PR if you're horrible. So.
Sorry, as we talk about this book, I am just reminded by a book that came out around a similar time, you know, definitely still the early 2000s, called Ecstatics, and I hate that book, so I'm not going to choose it, but
it's just a special recommendation for everybody. I hate this book.
Yeah.
How do you spell that book?
Big X statics and then an X at the end.
Is this hold on. Is that a Rob Liefeld?
No,
X-Men comic?
no, it is it's Peter Mulligan and Mike Allred, but it's basically so it was X-Force and then they changed the name to Ecstatics. Yeah. So it spun out of a Rob Liefeld comic, I guess, but not.
So it has Rob Liefeld DNA.
Yeah, yes, it does. But also, they basically change all the characters when they start it, so.
Got rid of the pouches, actually drew feet.
Yeah, anyway, though, not about this book, but basically that book, is very much, it takes on more of the celebrity and people being dirtbags and that kind of stuff. All in the early 2000s. It also has, like, kind of like a American Idol homage of, like, vote in your hero.
Oh.
Dirtbags, now in comic form.
Yeah. Anyway, though, not that comic. This comic. But I think that they are comparable. Anyway, yeah, I agree with you, Shuenta. I think that's what I was trying to get at. I lost.
Glad we got that.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have any more to say?
Oh,
you didn't like?
Yeah. I mean, I think the only thing was that I was just going to get into, like, a little bit more of the minutia. Like, I mean, of like what I said before, that, like, Hulk is, like, basically, in his mainstream form, he's, like, a pretty interesting exploration of, like, inner child and, like, repressed personal trauma. But Ultimate Hulk is just, like, Banner's inner man-child instead. And it's just, like, the fact that he's, like, he can talk and is, like, pretty self-aware as the Hulk, and, like, he's just motivated by his base instincts of, like, hunger, libido, and personal insecurities. And then, yeah, it's just what Bruce Banner wishes that he could do and say, essentially, but he doesn't have the power to do. And it's just like, okay.
Well, nobody give him that.
Yeah. And then, yeah, it's like basically like Tony Stark, he's just an even worse billionaire, basically, as we've said. We haven't really seen how, like, Steve is, like, that bad, but, like, you can kind of see he's still, like, he has, like, an attitude about him and, like, definitely kind of willing to, I don't know, like, the fact that, like, he kicked Bruce Banner, like, it's like, yeah, he, like, as we've said, Bruce Banner, not good in a lot of ways and killed tons of people, but he was also incapacitated,
I don't know, but the level of, like, dirtbag you have to be to, like, grovel at that point.
Yeah, it's true.
Is like, I think Captain America did the right thing.
I mean, he did, but I also feel like it should have been a different character doing that. It felt very weird to see Captain America lure someone with his words towards him so he could kick them.
Yeah.
This is my thought about that, is that Captain America is like 1940s were yesterday for me.
Right? Yeah, no, that's
he still carries that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm trying to get.
This isn't a Nazi.
Wait, what?
But this isn't a Nazi he's kicking. This is like...
Well, it's someone who destroyed a lot of people. Yeah.
It just feels weird. I would have preferred if he, like, said some snappy thing to him and then just kicked him instead of luring him forward with false promises of being nice.
Actually, okay, this is what I realized, actually, is, like, basically the reason that, like, we see this in the Captain America movie too, Steve Rogers gets picked because he is he is, like, kind of this pure of heart person, okay. That's why he gets to be the super soldier. But, like, Nick Fury, when he's talking to Banner about, like, I can't remember exactly the situation, but it's something about, like, whatever Marine we choose to be the super soldier, this is before Captain America gets found. And that's, like, kind of what I feel like is what Captain America is. Like, I mean, they do say that he was scrawny before, I think. Maybe? in this.
Yeah, Bucky
Probably.
says he used to like save him
Yeah.
from fights,
Right,
in, like whatever
right.
boys' school they went to.
Yeah. But, other than that, it doesn't seem like he was especially like, representing American ideals or anything. It seems like he was just a good soldier probably, or like, willing to take orders, something like
Yeah.
that.
They said that he had a brilliant tactical mind, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, but part of that is from the super soldier serum.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I'll jump in with something I don't like. This tactical genius doesn't think that like a bunch of kids are gonna break into his house and break stuff. What an idiot.
Yeah.
In like the sleaziest apartment building they could find.
No, it's his hometown of apartments.
I will say, like, normally I'd agree with you, Jake, but after reading the story of Solomon, I'm like, no, I can see it. Story of Solomon from the Bible. So, but yeah.
Captain America.
The one that
But he,
the one that says to split the baby?
Not that.
No,
yeah,
that's-
that same guy, yes, but not that story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
Does
what is
some
that?
other master things than baiting people into splitting babies in half.
So basically, like the whole thing is that like God says like, hey, follow me, and then all these things will be added to you. All right. He asked for wisdom. Okay, God gave him wisdom. Yet in the end, he turned away from God.
Right.
He turned away from God.
He's one of the S's in Shazam. Is the
Yeah.
wisdom of Solomon.
Right. But his wisdom did not make him realize that if I turned away from God, these bad things would be happening to me. So, like, to me,
So how smart are you, really?
right.
Hmm.
So to me, it's like, okay, your tactical mind, but these kids broke in. I didn't see that coming. I can totally see it.
I mean, I guess maybe I made a mistake framing it with like the tactical genius, but like just like the level of naivety that you have to have to like look at the building, see the graffiti, remark on like a bunch of young kids who look like they're trouble, who have like, well, I'm gonna exaggerate a little bit here, but I've run people out of this neighborhood, and then like just not lock your door with all this stuff that you spent
He
time like
did.
trying
Well,
to get.
keep in mind, he said that.
Well, the deadbolt wasn't like in. Like you can see the door. Like I think
know,
he
but you
like
can
probably
see
did the
the-
doorknob lock, but
The doorknob is like falling off.
that could have been like that.
but Jake,
So he's like,
don't forget that the reason why he was there was because this was his place that he used to live at.
okay. So
Yeah, but
we've been talking
Don't
about
live
the
there
fact
anymore.
Well, he's not gonna pack up and leave just because it changed. Like he literally said that.
he should use all the money the army owes him
Right.
to
yeah.
rebuild the apartment building, but only for himself. No, it's so like if it's imagine this is a dude from like 1945 or whatever, like they're saying, and like if he saw that level of graffiti, that must look like the scariest place ever. Like compared to what he's
Yeah, like
used to.
he still lived in New York. Like bad stuff was still happening. So like he should like be aware at some level that like crime happens. And
I think
should
it's
be
the kind of
prepared
thing of
for it.
like, you
I
know,
got
you're
beat
so
up.
big that you don't see the small things. Kind of.
Maybe it's just I don't like it.
I mean, in the end, he's right though. If like those kids broke in while he was home, he could have just beaten them. Like his
Yeah,
poor
that's true.
records got paint thinner on them. That's the extent of the damage that he was suffering.
What records were Steely Dan? Were they Steely Dan records? Or
No.
No, Sinatra.
Sinatra. Oh,
They're ones that he used to have when he lived there.
Yeah.
okay.
Priceless.
I mean, it makes more sense to be Frank Sinatra than.
Yeah.
Steely Dan.
Yeah.
Okay, all
I
right.
don't know, why'd you hold on?
this is-
Why'd you think they were
Yeah,
Steely
okay,
Dan?
okay. That's what I'm getting at. I watched A-Team recently, and so in that movie, an ex comes to visit Faceman Peck, and he's like, "Did you take my Steely Dan CDs?" So I was like, "Oh, he took records from somebody." So
Your brain
always
just
Steely
auto-completed
Dan.
Steely Dan.
yes,
the most sought after artist in the world.
I mean, yeah, I think the connection there is supposed to be that like A-Team is from the 70s, or are they from the 80s?
I don't know. I don't know the TV show.
Yeah, the show I think was originally like 70s, 80s.
Yeah, so and that's where the time period where Steely Dan was popular.
Gotcha.
Say, iconic 50s band Steely Dan.
Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say? 50s?
Yeah, she's making a joke.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa.
Can you imagine? Captain America being like, they stole my Jay-Z.
All right. I want to. This whole thing about the apartment is silly.
Thanks, Sinatra.
I think in general, I at first thought that, hey, they're kind of like with the beginning scenes of them talking about like how low morale is, and like I felt like those interactions were more realistic, I guess, natural feelings. They flowed.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the series is just quippy one-liners with people smiling really creepy. I don't know, maybe it's the art, but like the way some of those characters smile is so creepy. Bruce Banner smiling at Captain America as he wakes up. I just didn't like that. But also, I guess Hank Pym is supposed to be weirdo. He's just constantly doing the little smirk and then does a little quirky thing. This entire thing's just full of quirky people.
He pretends to die in that experiment.
Yeah.
Got you, suckers.
How quirky.
Do you think he ever like clicks his heels when he's giant, man?
Oh god, and then kills everybody in the vicinity.
Just a giant sonic boom.
Just like some of the dialogue in this. Like Betty being like, we hired all these male models to like wave American flags at this premiere for like our super soldiers or whatever. She's like, because nobody wants to see a bunch of pimple-faced fatties cheering on their favorite super team. And I was like,
man, I gotta tell you,
the 2000s.
that line, yeah, is from a different era.
Yeah, it's just weird for a comic book to say, man, comic fans, what a bunch of losers.
No, that was popular at that time.
Also, yeah, so just going back to Tony Stark's little thing about calling Betty, it's like, man, what would she look like in her father's uniform and mustache? Your ex, huh? And then, of course,
Tony Stark
Bruce,
is just a weirdo.
Yeah.
This whole
Bruce
book.
has to be like, that's not my ex. We're just slightly separated.
Trial separation.
Yeah.
Trial.
I don't want to defend that part or make it seem like I'm defending. Like, still, Tony Stark, total creep for even like mentioning it, talking about it. But I mean, I do want to like at least clarify what I think that he was trying to do, which was like, one, probably make Bruce uncomfortable, you know? Like, I don't think that his intentions were necessarily good.
I can't tell if he was trying to sexualize her or compare her to her father. Man, it was like you were dating her dad.
Yeah, because I mean, I think the whole thing is that, you know, her dad is a major antagonist to the Hulk, you know, or at least that's like, you know, in the
okay.
You didn't know that?
Yeah.
He's just some dude.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's a major antagonist, and he has like, you know, a very distinct look, hence the mustache and the, you know, so it's all like, you know, do you have this obsession with her father, and that's why you're, you know, dating her, and like, you know, and that's why he's trying to get under his skin in that way.
Also, does it help if we say that his name was General Thunderbolt Ross? Is that...
That means nothing to me.
Okay, all right.
I haven't seen any of the Hulk movies in like forever, I think.
Don't bother.
If I even paid attention
Don't
to
bother.
them.
Don't listen to Jake. All movies are great.
Are all of them great?
Oh, no.
All the Hulk movies are great?
Don't lie. Don't lie like that.
Even I know.
I will say I like both those movies. I think I like Incredible Hulk better.
I'll say Incredible Hulk's definitely better.
I don't know, some people like the stylistic choices of Ang Lee Hulk.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see people liking the style, but it doesn't make it a better movie.
Yeah, it's kind of like how there's been a greater appreciation for Batman Forever because it like at least like, you know, gets the
It has a significant look.
Mm-hmm. And it gets like, you know, some of the more sillier aspects of Batman, you know, that like they're tired of the dark night.
Okay, you know, I don't get those kind of people. I really don't.
That's all right.
I was thinking that myself last night. I was like, I don't get that kind of people.
What kind of people?
I'm glad there's a group that even you look down upon, Tailon.
The kind of people who are like, oh man, I don't like dark, gritty Batman. Or like, oh god, oh it's so dark. Like, cause it's the same kind of people who are talking about Batman v Superman. Like that same complaint. It's too dark. And I'm like, what? I don't get it.
That's not my
You mean
complaint.
the lighting?
No,
Well, that's
they
not
mean
your complaint, but that's what
yeah,
people.
yeah, I
Tonally dark.
Yeah.
Not like physically dark.
Yeah. So
Batman v
thematically.
Superman is tonally dark?
Thematically.
I mean, yeah.
I mean,
Kind of.
I haven't seen it. All I know is that he says his mother's name, and I thought that's the goofiest thing ever. So I didn't know it was totally dark.
You know what? Shawinta, I'm gonna try to not be annoyed by that statement.
But that's my mom too.
I don't know.
Are
For
we
it to be
brothers?
dark, like, I don't know. There can't be like a whole bit about a mason jar full of pee. Like, there just can't be.
yeah.
Shawinta, this is not a bit. There is actually
I
like
believe
a
you.
somewhat major plot point about that.
Unfortunately. I don't know. That's as
Alright.
dark as
Alright.
it gets, right?
I'm gonna talk about stuff I didn't like.
Thanks,
Okay,
Dick.
no.
Wait.
No,
No.
Ah,
no.
No.
Tony calls somebody. He calls some of the women he's dating like Oprah on a Twinkie.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yep.
And the next
Look,
story,
Oh,
cover
yeah.
story for some limp-wristed Scientologist.
Now-
I was
now-
like, Tony.
I will not say that I like Oprah, but like, you know, come on, that's a little too far. Although to be fair, I don't actually
that
know
what
what
Oprah's
Oprah was
known
doing in
for?
2002. Maybe.
Oh yeah, she's known for like losing a bunch of weight. So I guess like the joke was like, oh, you know, all skinny people are just like fat people with self-control, I guess.
Yeah, and like I mean
Oh.
yeah, it was like basically
5,000 blondes flashed right before my eyes. It's just Tony Stark.
Oh, was that after the wasp? I also didn't like that. Wait, no, sorry, I didn't even say anything. I didn't even give my own likes. What am I talking about?
Yeah, and then we talked about it, like just Betty suddenly being like, it's kind of flattering, isn't it?
yeah.
Flattened a bunch of city blocks and, you know,
You did that
killed
all
people.
for me.
'Cause he
Because
just
I was
really
on a date
wanted
with
me.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
The
But
fact
it
that
wasn't
she
even
just
a date. It was just like a business dinner.
Hey,
fact that
hey,
the Hulk-
she knew.
was after her. Like, he called her to give her a heads up, and then she's like, that little freak found us.
Yeah.
At
I don't
my
get-
exact
okay.
location.
Never mind.
All right.
Dumb.
Now can I say what I don't like?
Yeah.
Please let
Go
me
for it. Just do it.
re-release. All right. Tony Stark sucks every time. Every time he's on screen, he's the worst.
Yeah.
All right, there's a
That's
dinner or a lunch, a lunch with Bruce Banner and Nick Fury, and Nick Fury talks about the lengths that Shield goes to make sure like he's okay.
Oh yeah.
And it's literally impossible. It's like, you know, somebody's trying to like recruit in a movie, like somebody to a spy agency. It's like right now we're surveilling 20 heads of state and, you know, going over 12 Delta Force Black Ops teams. But this is like that to levels of parody, but it's played completely straight.
Yeah. He enjoys the attention. What can I say?
He didn't
It's
say
just-
they were good at their job. They were just listening to him.
And there's just like, why do they have 200 linguists and like what do they call them? Like vocal analysts under a Starbucks to analyze what they're saying? Like the logistics just behind that. Like you're gonna like
Hey,
'cause
that's how they justify that 8 million or whatever.
Wait, were they listening
The
to that
50
Woody
billion?
50
Allen?
million. What? I don't know the number.
Yeah, they had to listen to Samuel Fury, Nick Fury, talk about who would play who in a movie version, which is like,
hey, he got him.
I mean, he nailed it. To be fair,
Yeah, I mean that was
like everybody else.
That's so dumb.
The thing that he okay. So there's a comment.
Go ahead.
There's a comment that Nick Fury makes where Captain America's like, "Oh, I'm sorry for hitting you in the nose," and he's like, my nose has been smashed more times than Robert Downey Jr." And then he's like,
that's the only time he mentions Robert Downey Jr.
But what's funny is that he was like, "Oh yeah, so who can we cast Iron Man in as a movie? Johnny Depp." And it's Robert Downey Jr.
The rest of that conversation is, man, who is a big movie star in the early 2000s?
Let's date this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really that's not the only thing that dates this. All right, more things. Bruce Banner, don't like him from the start because he keeps making jokes about that time he murdered all those people as the Hulk.
Was it a joke?
Trauma.
I thought he was just trying to defend himself.
No, because there's an exchange with Janet as they're like going into the Triskelion, and it's like he makes some like off-color remark, and then he's like, "That's a joke," and I'm like, "Okay, garbage person."
Gotcha.
More stuff. Oh yeah, the size changing stuff doesn't really make sense because they talk about Giant Man gets more hungry when he sizes up, and Wasp says you don't eat before you shrink, which means either the food doesn't shrink or it shrinks at a different rate, which means the serum or Wasp's mutantum makes some decision about what is or isn't her body. Mm-hmm. So where does the line, like, there's no reason to like include that. It's just, again, being gross for no reason.
Okay, so this is my theory on that. It's just that if he's hungry, right, he might eat a lot. And so if he eats a lot and then shrinks down, like, where's that gonna go?
But why did they have to mention it all is, I think, Jake's point.
Just hand wave it. Just don't worry about it.
I mean, I like the science behind it. I appreciated it.
And it wasn't a science.
Especially the part where he's like, where they talk about the 60-foot limit of like, the human body can only go 60 feet before it's structurally incapable of carrying its own mass.
Which is why it stops itself?
No. Why it stops itself is because the brain, like somatically, is like, I'm not going to make you do anything that's going to hurt yourself.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Which
I think makes sense to me.
Also, I don't think that's true.
Which part?
Well, I think it's true. Like
that your brain will stop you from doing stuff that will
try to punch yourself in the face, right? You're not going to punch yourself in the face as much as you can punch somebody else.
People do like base jumping and like bungee jumping and stuff that will probably hurt them all the time.
Okay.
Well, no, but it's like, you are kind of like letting yourself go. Like, you are not trying to hurt yourself. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I'm with Tailon on this. Like, there's a different kind of activity, and this is like, basically Hank Pym is changing his body, and so like your body isn't going, like, I don't know, maybe it's, if it's similar to taking drugs, then I'm against it, because you can overdose on drugs. And
all right, what I would have preferred the reasoning to be is, yeah, sure, I can grow super big, but then like I'm not going to be able to see anything, and I'm going to keep knocking stuff over all the time, and that's no use to anybody. So it's like it's a practical limit rather than an arbitrary number that seems like they just chose out of a hat. It's like, I can grow to 60 feet.
No, it's a real thing. It's the square cube
Cody,
law.
yes, I know. I understand that's why King Kong can't be real. It's a comic book. I don't care. I don't care.
Okay,
it doesn't matter.
Okay, fine. I'm just saying, don't say that it's arbitrary. I don't care either.
Like, I mean, there's that whole thing, right? If you bite down on your finger, you could technically just bite right through it.
Yeah.
Your body stops yourself.
Yeah.
Except if you're in like a heightened state. So why wouldn't he just accidentally grow too big if he's like, oh my gosh, we gotta defeat him. Adrenaline, too excited. Get too big.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
All right, I'm sorry, Jake. You cannot like the things that you don't like.
I hate his prank. His stupid prank.
Oh yeah, that prank's.
I'm turning inside out. I was like, whoa, and then it. Just
that prank
was
isn't bad taste, but it did remind me of National Treasure 2, where Nicolas Cage has to reach into the hole, and then like he pretends his arm got chopped off, and then he's like, I gotcha. Like it reminded me of that, and I like that more.
But then you have to remember that there's 200 linguists listening to this happen.
Oh yeah, and for some reason the other thing is like, man, they're really obsessed with like your clothes not growing with you.
Yeah,
just so you could draw almost nudity. It's like, why? Just throw in something about like unstable matter or pin particles or Stark Tech.
Literally Fantastic
anything.
Four. Okay.
Yeah, just like literally anything. Stop making it so we keep seeing naked silhouette wasp flying around. Stop it. Stop
they did that also with Giant Man, which also wasn't great.
Yeah.
Where they were like unprepared for like Captain America, right? And then they grew real quick, and neither of them were wearing their outfits.
Don't do it. Don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, they did the thing with the Hulk too, right? Where they're like, he's looking for some pants. He's taking some pants off like a dead body or something. They were saying.
A fat corpse of a person he's murdered. Yeah.
That I was like, are they joking? Are they watching the Hulk desecrate a body?
Back to, all right. Don't like that they like just hired Betty Ross. Like it's dumb, for reasons that we've already talked about. Like, and the only reason is like, we have to have Betty here so that Bruce will eventually turn into the Hulk. Like that's the only reason she's there.
Yeah. You mean as the artist or
as the author,
plot
artist?
device.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the only reason she's there is to further the plot.
Mm-hmm.
And also like Wasp talks to Bruce about it, and that's where we get to. We're on a break because she read these stupid self-help books that decided I was a toxic influence, and now she's like living in California with cut hair and it's dyed pink.
You destroyed a city.
And then we see her, and then she just like looks normal. So like, did they just like not consult the script those two times?
Also, yeah, she's not even that she looks normal. She's like hyper Hollywood. She's like ready to parade out there.
PR, hyper PR.
Yeah,
Hollywood.
It's just like it's weird. Like Betty doesn't have to be here. I don't like that she's here. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad time. Also, all of the celebrities, like there's a Larry King cameo, a bunch of the actresses, like there's an actress that Tony Stark goes to space
Shannon
to bang
Elizabeth.
for some reason.
I don't know who that is. Yeah,
And then also there's a George Bush cameo for no reason.
Well, he's the president of the United States. What do you mean?
That was so good.
Well, yeah, but just make it fake president. Make it President Smith or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Agent Smith.
No, not Hugo Weaving.
I mean, the problem with making it an actual president who you immediately recognize is when he did anything in the plot, like, because maybe they just mention him, but they don't like show what he does. But to have him there and do something, and I just went, that's out of character.
Don't like that for most of the book. There's no reason for the Ultimates to exist, and then the only thing that happens to make the Ultimates exist is trying to make a reason for the Ultimates to exist.
Yeah,
that's
like
true.
That's just, like that's who like Mark Millar. I feel like I've done the thing where like we've read other Mark Millar stuff, and I've always said I like other stuff that Mark Millar does, and now this is like the third or fourth thing, and I've looked through his bibliography, and I think it's just Old Man Logan. I think that's all I like.
Yeah, and even that one has some iffy stuff, I like kind of like the things that other writers do with that later.
Because I can't believe there's like they sat down and said, yes, this is a good plot for the book. We're going to take 3 issues for the whole team to get together where there will be no conflict, essentially. And then a 4th issue where there's the beginning scent of conflict, which is the conflict that will make the reason for the Ultimates. And the reason for the Ultimates is going to be that somebody's trying to make a reason for the Ultimates. Like, that's such a bad plot, like, to lay out like that.
I was wondering why it didn't feel like there's that much stakes. Like, if this doesn't happen, oh well. I mean, Bruce will have a worse day, I guess.
Yeah, Bruce Banner ruined as a character as a result. He is actually a villain in this universe. Like, I think they also make Reed Richards a villain ultimately.
Yeah. Eventually.
Universe. But like Bruce Banner is like definitely a villain in this. This is the worst version of Hulk, I think.
Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely.
Is there any question about that?
Man, actually, does Mark Millar just hate the Hulk? Because then there's the Old Man Logan Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
And he's awful, too.
I don't know. I feel like you can say he's awful because it's the apocalypse.
Yeah, but it's still Bruce Banner.
This Hulk is just bad. Like, there are no mitigating circumstances to this Hulk being bad.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, I guess. I don't know. I'm still on the boat of, like, this is what Old Man Logan Hulk wanted. Which actually, I'm pretty sure... Okay, this is a little bit of a tangent, and we won't stay on it. But I'm pretty sure Old Man Logan Hulk is actually from, like, a different comic, and Mark Millar included that in his.
Are you thinking of Maestro?
No, no. Maestro's definitely different. I'll have to do a little bit of research and I'll send it to you.
Okay.
But yeah, it's that universe started somewhere else, and then Mark Millar built off of it. So that Hulk is actually the start of that universe.
Mm. And then, like, last and pretty much generally, like, characterization of everyone kind of sucks, but especially if it's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the women in this are either people for Tony to lust after, people who are, like, I can't believe, like, in that last fight with Hulk, like, Wasp tags in, distracts the Hulk with her breasts, and then says, "My Wasp things can do nothing. I am essentially worthless in this fight." Like, I can't believe it.
Great superhero team, guys.
And, like, they try to run it back by having, like, her shrink down and go into the Hulk's head, but, like, the damage is done. And then there's Betty. Betty who, like, Bruce is bad because, like, I read that call to her also as, like, kind of blaming her and the Ultimates for pushing him to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
That's not as explicit in the text, but that's how I feel reading it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, then in issue 6, where she's like, I can't, like, for some reason I understand, like, I'm not gonna look for the exact text, but, like, where she's like, I can't believe he went this far for me.
It's kind of flattering,
and also,
is what she says.
It's kind of flattering. And then, like, I feel bad that he got pushed this far. I feel guilty. It's like, man, like, I don't know if it's like, it could be Mark Millar's like, this is just like a toxic couple that is like pushing each other into worse and worse places. But if that's the case, doesn't give it enough time. Because Betty doesn't show up until issue like 3, I want to say.
Yeah.
She's mentioned in issue 2 when, like, Bruce is moving in, and it's like, it's just like all the characters suck, especially women, because they're barely characters.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, like, just generally, like, and even, like, you know, you were saying earlier that you liked the parts with Steve Rogers, you know, like, coming back to Bucky and Gale, and it was like, even Gale was like,
I thought Gale was gonna, like, actually have something happen.
Mm-hmm.
But no, nothing happens.
Yeah.
Does anything happen later?
I seriously doubt it.
What do you mean by something happened?
Like, do they ever see each other?
Does she ever do anything other than, like, stare at the mirror and be like, you don't want to see me in this state?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
But by then, Captain America's evil, so.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Anyway, Probably dating somebody at that point too. Not that not that it would be also worse if like he was like a home wrecker for these like 80-year-olds, but
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I don't know if I remember it correctly, but I think I did read an issue of like Ultimates 2 or 3. And I think him and Janet become an item at some point.
Who is Janet?
The Wasp.
The Wasp.
What?
The Wasp?
The one that
gets attacked.
That was her first name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they name it, like, they name drop it, like, once.
Okay, they always call her Pym, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're moving, the ants are moving all this stuff out, and then, oh yeah, this is just another, like, make it gross moment. It's like, yeah, just have a bunch of ants brew coffee, including adding cream and sugar. And they're actively falling into the coffee.
And he's, like, slurping it down.
Yep.
Like, yeah, don't do that. Stop it. Stop making stuff gross for no reason.
Yeah,
that's horrible and gross.
Is that like maybe like I can see that as a recontextualization of Ant-Man's like original origin as just like a weird like science fiction adventure comic, before he was like officially a superhero, and it's all like, yeah, this guy is just kind of weird.
This guy's gross. I mean, he's an ant after all.
Yeah. Don't like Jarvis either.
Oh yeah.
This Jarvis sucks.
Yeah.
Also, that was weird.
It seems like he's like, okay. I don't want to. I don't want to say this and then everybody disagree with me, but I think that he's queer coded, but like in the worst possible way too.
Only I thought the end.
Maybe
I can kind
of see that.
Where he does that thing is like, I think I'm gonna get lucky tonight. We're talking about his new vest and like staring at Captain America. And Captain America is just like blankly looking back at him.
That in the way
reaction.
like they bold out the club in his dialogue box, like that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, is it a club of butlers or is it like a gay club?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that, but I also kind of thought with that scene in particular of him going up to Captain America was him being like, maybe I can get someone better to be a butler. Or
Cap won't even spend more than $600 on an apartment. He's not gonna get a butler.
I don't know. Is that what Get Lucky is about?
I would think
staring directly at Captain America's face after like, what is it? They pointed out his fancy new vest or something. It's like Steve Rogers and like Thor haven't even noticed your fancy new vest. He's like, well, just got to give him time.
Well, see, to me, that was like, hey, look at me. I'm a well-dressed butler. All right, hire me. That's
also,
how I read it.
They just make him
This is
like
the first time they've
sassy
met
and
Jarvis.
weird.
It's the first time they met Jarvis. All his clothes are new to them.
He just like talks back to Stark in like kind of catty ways.
Yeah.
It's like it. I read it. I thought it was supposed to be like Alfred, or like specifically like Michael Caine Alfred, like weird British wit, where like in Batman Begins, like he's talking about like, oh, Master Wayne, while you were gone, I took the Bentley. Don't worry, you can still take it out if you wish. Like I'll allow it. It's like that. Michael Caine does a good job of that, but like in text, like it just like Jarvis just seems like he hates his life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he seems like sassy and just like really depressed.
Yeah.
He just like he hates working for Iron Man, but he's done it for too long. So now he knows he can't get another job if he quits.
Yeah.
He knows too many secrets.
Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D. might kill him.
Oh yeah, it's true. He's been around too many meetings.
Wouldn't that be like the worst? You're stuck in that job as a janitor forever because you were around too much.
You were a S.H.I.E.L.D. janitor.
That's why.
So you saw too much stuff.
That's why the Manhattan Project hired janitors that couldn't read or write.
No, see, that's when you invent the forget me device.
Neuralizer.
Yeah.
And now we're going to put all our money into this project so our janitors can stop eavesdropping.
Until I remember something else. That's most of what I didn't like.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. I don't like Betty. I hate Betty. Just specifically, like, okay, I want her to be a nice person, you know what I mean? But she has a terrible attitude, and I do not like the way that she talks to Bruce whatsoever.
In addition, I just remembered this. At the end, when they're talking about what are we gonna do about the Hulk, like since now like the Hulk was part of our team, went bad. It's like this is gonna look super bad if it gets out. What do we do? Mm-hmm. Betsy's like, don't even worry about it. Yeah. We'll just cover up that Bruce Banner is the Hulk, and it'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
The Ultimates will look like heroes.
So casual about
it. Like it's hyper casual, because this is not the first time she's done this. So maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's just like emotionally, she's like obviously not a good person, but is also like hyper casual about not being a good person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then weird. And so we were talking about this already, but hate Jarvis, like just I do not appreciate him being all like, sarcastic, like whatever you want to say, like
back talker.
Yeah, backbiter, whatever,
Know your place.
Man, they really they did a really good job making him an AI in the movies. Yeah. Although, do you think they did that just because like the Batman trilogy was coming out and like it would have been like they would have thought it would have been too close to like an Alfred ripoff?
Wait, so are you saying that the movies did that made him an AI? Like that was
I don't know if they're the first, but do you think they made that the choice in the movie to make him an AI instead of like having him be a person, because it would have been too close to like The Dark Knight with Michael Caine as Alfred?
Could be, because I guess that movie did come out 2 years before.
Well, I guess Batman Begins 2005. Dark Knight and Iron Man came out in the same year. But yeah,
I mean, there's only so many like helpful butlers you can have, right? Mm-hmm. And then they just end up with a bratty butler. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do not like the Hulk talking. Well, okay, Hulk talking is fine, but what he says is horrible. I just don't like it. And then, Janet's flashing. I'm just like, why?
Yeah, it's bad.
Mm-hmm. But overall, like, I would say that I don't like the idea of, and again, we've talked about this before, but of trying to modernize these characters, but then just making them worse people. Like, I get what you're saying, Jacob, like, you can't really add more, like, positive qualities to them, but I think a better way to go about this would have been, like, to have them have those same positive qualities, but in a new environment. Like,
I mean, that's what Cody was saying, right? Mm-hmm. Recontextualizing it.
Gotcha.
Like, sometimes this is helpful. Sometimes you doing that is not helpful, and you need to learn when.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, and then also, too, like, I the way I see it is, like, I have the stance of more, like, I don't really want my, like, I don't care so much about my comic book characters being, like, real as opposed to aspirational. You know what I mean? Like, they should, to me, I want them to be like
compelling.
I mean, that's not how I would say it. Like, to me, I would say it as like, I want you to be something to be like aspiring to. Like, not obviously, people should not want to try and be like literal comic book characters. You know what I mean? But like, they should hold the kind of values that like we view as good.
Yeah. Heroes should represent some moral position that is reasonable.
Yeah.
I don't know, but people like the Punisher a lot.
And
obviously
he's not a hero.
Yeah, he's not a hero, but they keep making comics about him.
Yeah, but he's not. He's an anti-hero.
And you can't have an anti-hero without a hero.
True.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Because, the moral position the anti-heroes hold, I guess, technically anti-heroes also hold a reasonable moral position. They're just utilitarians.
I mean, the way I see it is like they work for them and themselves. Like, to heck what everybody else wants. That could be.
Yeah, some of
that could
them.
Be different.
That's more of a villain position, I would say. But an anti-hero, they want to do what's best, no matter the cost.
Yeah, what is it? The whole thing, like, oh, I can't kill them, I'll be as bad as them. And then anti-hero's like, well, they killed like millions of people. I'm gonna kill them.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Was that about it for your dislikes, Tailon?
Yeah. Yep. Do I?
Shuenta, did you have any?
I mostly just piggybacked off your guys's, other than having me read out more lines directly from the script.
Yeah.
I hate when Hank is about to do the giant, like, experiment, and he's like, let's leave the pillow talk for later, honey.
Yeah.
Ew. Like, imagine being a scientist there, and you're like, can we be professional for 5 seconds?
Yeah, any of the other, like, dozen staff there that are, like, operating this experiment.
I will say, like, maybe this is because I just want to take the contrary opinion, but, like, I'd be like, hey, you are on my payroll. Like, I get to talk to my wife however I want. Thank you very much.
We're talking about from the point of view of the people who are on his payroll. Tailon, you are on his payroll.
That opinion is why, like, HR exists, is because bosses think that way.
What do you? No. I'm talking to my wife, not another employee.
Yeah, but they're all still there. If you worked with your wife, you wouldn't be allowed to talk like a married couple in a regular work environment.
We need to bring that back then.
No.
For some people.
No.
Bring back sexual talk.
Workplace. Oh,
hey,
the
be clean about it.
Too sterile.
Let's be clean about it. Pillow talk, not none of that.
You don't know what his pillow talk is, Tailon.
I mean, this is true.
Anyway.
I will say, okay, like, I would have preferred if we read volume 2, just because there's a lot more stuff that happens there that...
Is it better?
That's
good.
A loaded question.
Yes, that is a loaded question because you know my stance on volume 1 already.
Yeah.
Because what I would have said was, considering our critiques,
do you feel it gets better, or do you feel it's a little bit of a lower point from this one? Tailon.
I think especially regarding Janet, like, no, it wouldn't have gotten better.
She gets worse.
Yes.
Amazing.
Well, in regards to what your complaints are, like, I will say that.
Everything about her.
Yeah, I mean, I would say she probably gets more character appearances, but probably less agency. Is that?
No.
So just wheeled on screen.
No. Okay, so it's like she has the. I don't know if this is typical of like abusers necessarily, but she has like that mentality.
She's an abuser, or is she being abused?
Being abused.
Oh, okay.
She has that mentality of like
a post-traumatic impulse?
More like she's like, well, he's not always bad.
The battered wife syndrome.
Yes. So she goes that direction.
Okay, so here's like a genuine question about like the plot, because I just thought about it. Plot adjacent. Do the other Ultimates like ever learn that she is a mutant?
No.
So that's just like thrown in for like no reason.
Well, to your knowledge, right? That's within volume 2. have you read Ultimates 3 and 4, etc.?
Oh, I didn't even know there were 3 and 4. I read Ultimates Volume 1 and 2, Ultimates 2 Volume 1 and 2. So those are all that I've read.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because it's a weird thing to just kind of drop for gross lore, and then otherwise like gave the giant man his powers. So that's something, I guess. But then otherwise, like, no reason.
Gotcha. And so, and then for Hank, like, I'll say, really not much consequences for him in terms of what happened.
Not surprised.
Not surprised. Yeah.
Cool.
If they're willing to cover up Hulk murdering dozens of people, they would also be willing to cover, like, I'd call them hypocrites if they decided to.
Yeah.
That's an unfortunate precedent.
Which, yeah, man, this is a time capsule of a book. Like, all the celebrities. Like, and they really press it like this is supposed to be like modern and like real with all the like actual celebrity appearances. Like,
yeah. I actually forgot to mention that. That's one thing I didn't like. The celebrity culture obsession. I'm like, no, I hate it. Get rid of it, please.
Yeah, like the whole gala is just like dumb. Like, I get it. You want to have a celebration because you found Captain America, cool.
Yeah.
But like the level of like, because they even like they shoot fun at it from the characters. Like, we're spending like $500,000 on flag wavers. We've got a bunch of tanks and planes that are like Captain America branded. It's like, this seems like a huge waste of money that we're doing this.
As it is.
But they're still doing it.
Yeah. But yeah, you also too, like, just, you'd hate Hank Pym. Hank Pym just does not get any better.
Yeah.
He does not.
Like
he gets worse, honestly. Like,
yeah,
he gets
and
worse.
that's actually essentially a complaint that I had. Like, I mean, it is the same complaint a little bit of like all of the characters, but it's like Hank Pym is such a terrible character in the main comics, and they were like, let's just add on to that. Let's just make him worse.
I was gonna ask, like, Marvel Zombies, he just eats his wife. Doesn't he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what we were comparing it to this. Yeah.
Did we talk about the art?
I thought the art was great. There you go. That's it.
The art's generic early 2000s comic art. Like, that's
quality. Sometimes it was not great between panels. Some of those celebrities do not look like the same person between panels.
Oh yeah, like the George Bush, like halfway through, it's like, I had to, like, when I read it, I didn't recognize it as George Bush at first. I'm like,
yeah,
because it looks more like somebody drew out the political cartoon version of George Bush than like a picture of George Bush.
A little bit, yeah. Also, I might be tempted to say that it's a little bit over inked sometimes. Like, I'm like, everything is just like, I don't know. It gives like sometimes a muddied look. Like, I'm kind of scrolling through pages to get like a more like instant reaction to the art, and like there's the page that like first introduces Tony Stark when he's like hiking in the mountains or whatever, and like that first like wide shot of the mountains, that's like pretty, you know, it's like very obviously digital, you know, but it's still like it's good digital artwork. I'm like, yeah, that's good. But like then, you know, basically any like closer up shots of people, it's like that's a lot of black ink they're using, and I just feel like, I don't know, could have reduced it a little bit.
I guess I would agree. I didn't think about that too much because it did feel very generic in that, like, it doesn't feel like it's super smart about the ink in like showing what you're supposed to be looking at. Like, composition-wise, yeah, like, center stage, like, the giant man in this one page. But, man, there's just, like, a lot of shadows on people. Very cluttered, almost. I don't know, it didn't bother me for the most part. Like, I liked... It was more the dark scenes, I would say. Yeah, like, the night scenes.
So...
But, yeah.
There was a panel on page 54 of Bruce, because he's talking to Nick Fury over the phone, right before Nick Fury tells him that Captain America has been found, that I thought was really weird. It's like his head looks completely separate from everything else in the...
Yeah.
That would be too much use of black ink, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But just like
that's what it means.
I feel like this was illustrated like without a sense of like visual design or like let's like, you know, we'll have a visual motif or theme for this book. Like it's just like all the stuff, and maybe that's what they were going for. Like we're gonna try to make it look like it's something that's like real, or you know, if we add too much style, it'll take people out of the realism. It's like, sure, but also it's a comic book. Make it feel like a comic book.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny that you say that, Jake, because I wish that I had a better source that I could like more specifically quote, but I didn't think about it in advance. But I'm pretty sure that basically Ultimates was like heavily delayed as it was coming out because the art took so long because they were specifically doing a style that was attempting to look cinematic.
I mean, I would say I can see it.
That like Fantastic Four, that one where we read where sometimes people just looked like straight out of People magazine like covers.
Yeah, it's from the same universe.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why everybody hates them?
I mean,
something.
I don't know.
I mean, they talk about like they were getting bad PR at the time, so I assume like something recent had happened in like Ultimate Fantastic Four comics.
I don't feel like the Fantastic Four has ever had like good PR.
Well, movie-wise, yes, but
yeah, movie-wise, never.
But comics,
but I mean, they do good stuff sometimes, I guess. But like usually, it's problems that they've also caused.
It's almost
but
immediately
people don't know that.
Followed by them just messing up spectacularly. I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, about this book. It's just like this book has no style. Like there's nothing like visually cool about this.
Just hate those smirks. Stop smiling at each other.
So we asked Tailon if he would read more. Jake Shawenta.
Yeah, for Tailon, it's not hypothetical.
Yeah, he did.
Don't
yeah, I'm not gonna read anymore.
Yeah.
unless it's for the show, I'm not reading anymore.
I will say I don't think I'm gonna read Ultimates 3 or 4 just because it's not the original people doing it.
I mean, it doesn't get better, but it well, at least for us, it can't really get worse.
No, it can.
I guess at this point, I just say like anything else is just like more stuff to complain about, and it's like my whole position here.
Captain America gets worse.
I think that's all that we have to say. So thanks everybody for listening. This has been the Comic Panel. I'm Cody.
I'm Tailon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shawenta.
And we'll see you next time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. You can catch our show as it airs on Mondays from 5 to 7 p.m. on KSUA 91.5 FM, the People's Radio in Fairbanks, Alaska. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Comic Panel, It's Comic Time. You can find The Comic Panel anywhere you listen to podcasts. Find us on Facebook at It's Comic Time, Instagram at _comic_panel, and Twitter at The Comic Panel 1. There, you will get updates on when we air on KSUA and when an episode is uploaded to YouTube and to the podcast. Have a great rest of your day.